Again, this is S.J. Pettersson, and this will be the third tutorial on the Afrobeat king Fela Kuti. This is Equalization of Trouser and Pant, which on the surface would seem like an extremely weird title, but it makes a lot of sense, and lyrically it's an amazing piece. Since I'm basically doing tutorials about music, I'm not going to get into his lyrics, but I encourage you to do so, because it takes a little while to understand, first of all, that he sings in English most of the time, Pidgin English or patois. But once you do, some amazing stuff goes on. So anyway, this piece here, let me make sure my speakers are working. I'm going to give you a taste first. I'll go into my panorama mode. Zoom in a little bit. I have this written for, as you can see, maybe that's a little too much. I actually put some keyboard parts in this one too. Tenor sax, baritone sax, trumpet, 2 guitars, bass, mambo bell was the closest I could get. It should be just it's a different instrument. It's a metal, it's kind of like a thick triangle or something, I don't know. But it works good. This maracas sounds excellent. Drums, I have some electric piano and some electric organ. So I'm going to let this run for a little bit, and this is what it sounds like. I'm stopping it there because I'm going to break up this tutorial in 2 parts. I'm going to cover the rhythm section first in this one, part 1, and the horn section in part 2. With Fela, we're dealing with polyrhythms. I have to close the window. That's better. So we have all kinds of independent lines going on at the same time. And the usual best way for me to describe this is actually to open a document that I have, or another Sibelius file, that shows the 2 guitar parts, the bass part. I put the maracas in this one too. Probably should have put the bell as well. But since there hopefully will be some guitar players and bass players and drummers looking at this, I will admit that drumming isn't my strongest point, so the drum pattern, Tony Allen, the master and king and god, varies obviously this tremendously, but it's still this is the basic function, and the interplay between the bass and the drums is one of the most amazing things in Fela's music. I pointed this out before. We often have kick drums on places where there is no bass note, so which makes the kick drum stand out a whole lot more. Sometimes you might have two 8 notes. In this case, you have these two 16s, and you just have a single 8 note. We're gonna describe this, and the other thing is that in this document I also have tablature versions for guitar players who are not so good at reading both parts and the bass in tab as well. So hopefully you can freeze frame and learn this. And if you're not watching this in full high definition, you have to go to the YouTube settings tab below the video and change it to 1080, which gives you an amazing resolution. We're going to start with the drums. Here is the drum pattern. As you can hear, African music, or pretty much all music except rock music, does not rely on a backbeat, which means that beats 2 and 4 are the strongest beats, which usually the snare plays. The snare plays sort of an interplay here instead. A little more like accents, but they're very carefully placed. The kick drum, however, is often very rigid because it's created to work with the bass line. Since the drum parts are so syncopated, there's almost always a steady maracas beat going on. If I play them together, it sounds like this. Beautiful. The steady maracas beat really grounds the beat. It's an essential component in this. Let's go for the bass part. Here's the bass by itself. Now, for those of you who do not understand articulation signs, this is a tenuto sign that gives a note a little more emphasis, extends it to its full note value. The little dot is a staccato, becomes very short. You mix them, it's called portato. If I have this part, or have any of these parts, or pretty much any music part without articulation signs, they just do not sound as good as they can. So it's a way of making an impersonal computer get more personality. And when you work with musicians, it tells them how to play the part. You probably will not see much of that in rock music, but because people just tell each other what to do. Here's the bass, maracas, and drums. So let's start from here, actually. I'll have to do this. the guitar sound sample leaves something to be desired. Same thing with the second part, which is basically D minor 7 to D minor 6, D minor 7, D minor 6. Here's what it sounds like. Now if we play the whole thing, we will hear what it all sounds like. Beautiful. I'm gonna minimize this, maximize the full score. I usually don't write out everything in the full scores. For instance, like I said, there's all kinds of ad-lib variations to the bell, and as well to the drums, obviously. And after the organ part, there is a brief piano melody line, and it's not really a solo, it's a line, but it's honestly not that interesting. So what is interesting is how the instruments come in little by little, and I think my favorite part is when the guitar enters, just stunningly beautiful. So that's the rhythm section, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to focus on when the horns come in. And as usual, the horn parts have nothing to do with this rhythm groove. It's like its own world, and it is stunningly strange and beautiful. And the harmony is even better than most Fela pieces. The interplay, the harmony with the baritone sax, it's gorgeous. There's going to be a head, main melody part. There's going to be two different rhythm sections that are behind solos, etc. So, hope you learned something from this, and I'll be back in just a little bit.